it's Eric, and I'm gonna teach you another tutorial about gain staging, VU meters, signal flow, and all that kind of awesomeness. All right, what's up, everyone? It's May 3rd. It's 8:30 p.m. It's raining outside in Brooklyn, and that's why I'm in here, and I'm recording my second screencast on audio production for you to enjoy and for me to get your feedback. If I'm doing things right, how can I improve? All these things. It's all an experiment. Let's just all experiment together. Okay, so let's begin. As you can see on my screen, I have a VU meter for the master output. I have a VU meter for my test here, which I should name test tones. And I have my test tone oscillator from Logic Pro that's built in. This is a factory plugin. You can find it by going to, where is it going to be? It is going to be in here. You go to Utility, Test Oscillator, Stereo. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I have my fader all the way down. It's pre-fader. Pre-fader meaning that if I raise the fader, the VU meter, the meter itself, will not change. It'll always read the same meter that it is, regardless of the meter. Hence, pre-fader metering. Post-fader metering will adjust the meter with the volume of the fader. And in this case, we don't want this. For the specific test, we don't want that. So what you're going to do is this is my first test here. I want to show you something that's kind of strange. If you do a test tone, I'm just going to leave the volume down. I mean, all the way down. You won't hear anything. I'll bring it up a little bit. But pay close attention to what I have here. I have a sine wave running 1,000 hertz frequency at 0 dB level. Okay? Now, you would expect that on the output of this VU meter, right? It's just running directly from this track into the stereo out. See, stereo out into that track. So you'd expect that you would see a 0 right here, but you don't. Let's do that. So I just turn this on. I mean, there's our tone. And what you see is turn that down because it's kind of getting annoying for everyone. Dogs will be coming here barking and screaming. Right. I'm sorry. Technical difficulty. Don't watch the output here. Watch this one. Right. Okay. So we have the test oscillator running at 0 dB. We have 0 dB, right? But our 0 dB, see, technically, our 0 dB, we want at negative 20. So I'm going to bring this down to negative 20. And that is our 0 dB. You see how I have this set up? 0 dB in the digital scale is negative 20. And that's how I set this up. You could change this to like negative 18 if you'd like, or whatever you'd like. I go for negative 20, and I have a reason for that. I'll talk about another time, but I do negative 20. That allows me to have plenty of headroom. And where this meter is right here on this test tone track, that's the goal of what we want to do for all of our tracks. So as I go through and I balance out the kick drum, the snare, the hi-hat, everything else, I want those volumes to come up to this negative 20 dB on the track meter. And on the VU meter, on the individual VU meters of each track, I want it to sit at negative 20, which don't really look at the needle because you're going to deal with peaks and things like this. I want you to look at the this number here, negative 20 here. This is where you're looking. Look at this number, target -20. If you're -19, fine. If you're -25, bring it up a little bit. If you're -18, perfect. You just want to kind of like stay in this ballpark. It's, it's audio. It's not going to be constant unless you're using a test tone like I'm using now. Okay, so let's shut off the test tone and let's begin our mixing of the drums. So what I have going on here now is I'm just going to go ahead and shut some things off I don't need here. And I'm going to go ahead and just play some of the drum samples that we have here, the drum beat. Shut this off and shut this off. And let's open up the kick, because that's what we're going to start with first. So let's just open that up. Okay. Let's see the kick. By the way, the kick is soloed. So let's just show you that here too. The kick is soloed right here. So as you can see, it's -10. -10 is kind of where it's hitting, but we don't want that. We want to get -20. So I could move the fader down here, but that's not what we want, because that's not what we're doing. We're multi-tracking out into our DAW, so that's where we want to actually make this adjustment. So since we're pre-fader, if I take this fader, we could adjust it like that. Although that's not good either, because when you get down here, the resolution changes. So what you want to do is you want to keep the fader at 0 and adjust the input gain. And the one cool thing about this VU meter that I have as a plugin, which is the I can never say this right. I'm so sorry. I can't say it properly. But anyway, so let's focus on this number. Let's get this number right. So let's open that up, and let's bring down this volume on the trim pot. Just like on a regular analog console, you'll have a trim. We want to target -20 dB. So there we go, -20, which I reduce 10 decibels, which gives our meter to the right location, which is here now. And that's what we want. So you can see it's around -20. All right, that's drum number 1. And you continue this process on throughout all of your drums until you get the ultimate balance of -20 dB across all of the drums. And then basically your gain structure is complete on the drums. And you'd repeat this for all the instruments. If you'd like, I could do this really quick. We can go through and just do this to all the drums really quickly. This is the workflow I do. I start with a kick. I go through and I kind of just go ahead and just start seeing what I can get on these. All right, so this one's good. Maybe bring it up just a little bit more. Okay, we'll call that one good. So you get the idea. I think I actually did this to all the drums already, so let's just see. I did, but it looks to me as though the overhead still needs some work. So let's just play that again and adjust this. Right, this one's pretty high for some reason. And I think because, so in this case, it's kind of odd. This is a strange thing here. So we can't pull any more trim down. So I could add another one. I could add another plugin to this. Why can't I bring that one down anymore? Let's just see. It's just the overhead. The overhead's just too loud for some reason. I think it's because the drums are bleeding. Excuse me, the drums are bleeding through, yeah, it's this. I think it's just the snare. So the snare is actually the culprit here, I believe. Let's just take a look. We go through here, we click on snare, and yeah, sure. So the overhead volume is set really high on this particular patch. So this Addictive Drums Dry Room, the default from the factory, the creators of this plugin set the overhead levels for the snare drum to go through to the overhead level quite hot. So I could reduce that, although I don't really want to change that effect. So what I could do is I could just take another overhead plugin. I mean, not overhead plugin, another Klanghelm, I said it right, Klanghelm plugin, and you could stack them. So I could do this, something like this, and say duo, and then this is my second one. So there's my first and second, and let's just play like that. And so now I'm at -15. We still want to go down a couple dB. There you go. That's something, I don't know if that's something I would really recommend doing, but it works. Okay, so we could just keep that. Now our volume's right for that, and we didn't screw up our mix the way it tonally sounded. So, all right, so let's go over to the room. Let's do the same thing for the room. Okay, -20, -20. It's sitting pretty good. Okay, now remember as well, another thing to consider is that the drum volume, the overall volume, is going to get really low. But what you could do is you could either create a submix, which I have here. So all the drums are routing to this submix. All of these drums right here are all being bussed out, bus 1, bus 1, bus 1, all being bussed out into this track. So with that said, I can now adjust this volume. This is the overall volume. I'll hit play, right, and bring this up. And so now, instead of adjusting this balance, all of these, or in fact, if you notice, I don't even touch these faders at all. These are all just stuck at 0, and unity gain 0. That's what you want. And then so in here, I can adjust this, and I can also add, compression. I'll just go ahead and just throw this compressor on. Maybe just knock down a few dB of compression, just kill some of the transients, just kind of, make the glue happen. And then for this one, I could just go ahead and add a, I'm just going to stop this quick and actually play the drums that we have here. And then so for this, I could technically just turn this on, bring this down, and I have so much more headroom here in my drum, even though I was saying before. Even though I was saying before that it's so, the volume's so low, you can still make that up because you have headroom gain. So you just bring this up, and now I'll hit play. So technically what's happening here is that your drums individually are have an input gain of -20 dB. And then you bus everything into a submix such as this, or a bus. And then you have the ability to add dynamics processing to it, which you can raise or lower. Another trick to do is don't even add this stuff here. This would be like, you could do this once you're in the mixing process. But if you're still tracking and you just need some more volume, just turn up, your master fader, turn it up like that. Turn up your stereo fader like that. You can easily get an extra 12 dB right there of gain. Or another trick is just turn up your speakers. Turn up your volume on your speakers in your room, in your control room. And that's it. That's basically how you do this. So that's it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Let's hear what these drums sound like as they're balanced. We'll do the before and after. Okay, so we'll do something like this. So we'll say, let's just close all these out. And now remember, things are going to sound a little bit smaller a little bit quieter, a little bit more quiet. So we'll just cancel those, cancel that, and hit play. So that's before any processing. We're peaking here on the overhead. Let's add back the gain structure. So it reduces it considerably. But don't worry, because you make it up in the drum submix by doing this. There's the compression. And there's the limiter. Okay. Now, you're probably asking, well, why am I clipping here? Well, that's just because I have the limiter on, which in most cases you wouldn't do. You would bring it back to here. You'd shut the limiter off, and you should be sitting around -12, which is totally fine. Remember, I have a little bit of compression on. It's not adding any makeup gain or anything like that, but it's all of these combined into one track. Okay, and so that's why you're getting that extra couple dB. But still, you have plenty of headroom here in the mix bus to add your limiter, add for the entire mix, all these things. So the same thing applies to, I can quickly do this with an instrument track. Just close this one out. We can add like I don't know, something stock from, let's just say Omnisphere. A synthesizer, Omnisphere. Let's just say that, and we can, yes, I will allow that connection to happen. Oh, I forgot to do my thing. I'm not going to do that. Yes, I do have a registered copy, everyone. I do pay for my software. But I did a bunch of networking and cleaning up the other day of my hard drive, and I know I deleted some stuff I probably shouldn't have. Let's see if I have authorized Trillion. Trillion. And I do. So let me hit some keys on the keyboard. So right away you can see it's -4.5. That's not our target. What we were just discussing here was -20. -20 is the number, everyone. -20. Get a tattoo of it. Put it in your eyeballs. Do something like that. -20 is what I choose to do. You can go -18. You can go negative something, whatever you want. But just try to remember to leave a bunch of headroom. It's very important that you understand this. All right, so out of the box, no patch. This is the stock sound of Trillion, right? It's called default patch. It's just the stock thing. There's no adjustments. It's straight out. That's -4.5. So we don't want that. Now, there's one way of doing it is you could adjust the volume here in the master fader. So if I hit the key, I could do that and get, negative. I can go -20 there. But the thing with that is, if I switch the patch, which I'll do here, you're going to lose that. A lot of times this will go back to, another volume. Well, even there, the volume went up to -11, so it's not consistent. So what I recommend doing is keeping this at at unity gain in your plugin. Let's see if we can go back to the initialized patch. Okay, back to that lovely sound, isn't it? And then go ahead and add your Klanghelm plugin to do your metering, and then use the gain, the trim pot on that to adjust it. What's going on here? Why can't I move this? Okay, so now if I hold down the key, we can see it's too hot. Let's adjust it. -20, everyone. All right, that's annoying. And so even there, like I just held down one key, so that basically doesn't get us into the place we're at, because that wasn't the loudest part of the song. You'll want to do this in like the loudest part of the song. This would be more in your mix. This is tracking I'm talking about, kind of getting a rough estimate of all your levels. So if I go ahead and just smash, 3 keys down, you can see already it's too hot. So let's do that again. There you go, -20. Okay, so now with that said, you could switch this patch and you're still gonna end up with -20, or you probably won't go over -20 because you already set this trim. So if I was to, kind of show you a different patch in here, let's just say this Bass Station Classic Pulse, whatever that sounds like. You're not going to go over 20. Okay, so your levels are pretty set. You don't have to worry about this one up here. Right? So now, we should be able to play along with our drums, and everything should sound pretty balanced now. I mean, for the most part, yeah, it should sound pretty balanced. Let's just try that. Let's go ahead and play some. All right, well, forgive my playing. It wasn't really the greatest, but you get the idea. So nothing stuck out. Now, if I play that back, let me just do the old magical quantize here quick, because I know my playing was off, and it's gonna drive me nuts. Let's just go ahead and listen to that, and you can see already if I go back to the mixer. The meters are not crazy. Everything's basically around the same. Now you can go ahead and do your mixing. And the beauty of that is your meters never change because you're pre-fader metering. So you're basically lowering the volume mixing, correct? And then you keep the gain structure, the right gain structure at all times. So there you go. That was it for that tutorial. This is my second tutorial ever, and I hope you think it was awesome. Please provide some feedback. Anything helps. It's all an experiment to me. I'm not. I definitely am learning from everyone I'm encountering on YouTube and anywhere in real life. Just talking about audio production and recording, tracking, songwriting, mixing, all of this stuff. Computers, just performance, just all kinds of things. I'm just trying to learn and grow with people. So please leave a comment, subscribe, tell your friends, come back for more, ask me questions, put me up to some challenges, all of that stuff. And I hope to grow with you all. And on that note, I've got awesome reverb. Nope, that didn't work. Let's turn this on. I've got awesome reverb. No, really, I do. It's this plugin. This is one of my favorites. Okay, later on, people of the internet. Hope this was helpful.